Hey, I'm Dr. Leonette, and this is,
Dr. Shao.
and we are your doctors at Alpha Emerged Executive Potential and Optimization Center. So one of the things we're going to talk about is probably one of the most critical things you can do, and that's sleep. In fact, there's been some cool research recently, it just actually got published last month, that talks about the correlation between sleep and emotion. So if we were to guess one emotion that's going to have a big effect on sleep, or sleep will have a big effect on, what are you going to guess it is?
How about, let's say, anger, maybe?
Absolutely anger. In fact, I'm going to pull this up right now. There was a study that just came out. Actually, you can see it's over there. It's October, and it's from Iowa State. But look at this. Sleepy anger, restricted sleep amplifies angry feelings. So this is just it's a cool study that goes out there, and it probably tells you what you already know with a lot of things. But you got to get your Z's in, and if not, it's going to affect every aspect of your life. So we also operate in Enliven Chiropractic and Wellness Center. So one of the things that we always notice is if you can't sleep,
You can't heal
it's absolutely correct.
every day.
So it's one of the key things. It's one of the major instruction points we give out to our patients here. And I'll pull this down. So you work in functional neurology. So what difference do you see between people that actually sleep and the ones that don't?
So without getting into too much detail here, there's what we call neurological fatigue. So if you look at somebody and you're testing some of the data, some of their biometrics, and you're looking to see how much they can do before they tire out, and you see some of those ratings drop, that's that neurological fatigue. What I see, if somebody is well rested, if they've had plenty of water, plenty of oxygen to their brain, they've been fed, they can do a whole lot more. You have a lot more room to work with. They're able to handle more stress before they zonk out and hit that point. When they hit that point, they're done. Headache, you feel crappy, eyes get tired. Sleep plays such a huge role in that. If you look at the research, there's something called the glymphatic system in the brain. And when it shows that when you are sleeping, that is the only time that your brain clears out all the waste products. Everything, if you use energy, you create waste products. That's just how life works. Brain's no different. You can only get rid of it when you're sleeping. So if you don't sleep, your brain literally gets junked up. And if you just Google glymphatic system and look at its research linked to things like Alzheimer's and dementia, and it really shows you, it should almost scare you into getting much sleep, which I don't know how productive that is. But
So we always get questions like, what's the ideal sleep? And in fact, for each person, it is completely different. And this is part of the benefits of having your genetics ran and being coached by that. Sleep hygiene is incredibly important, but it varies person to person. So one thing we can look at, now there's a couple standards across the way. One is everybody needs between 7 and 8 hours. If you're genetically gifted, you're 7 hours. If you're not genetically gifted, you're 8 or 8.5. We live in a high stress, short time, no recovery type of society. So how many hours do you get? Like, how many hours do you sleep a night?
I go to bed pretty early. I'd probably say about eight hours of sleep every night.
So part of the sleep hygiene thing is you find your get to bedtime, you have your awake time. For me, about a year ago, I just hammered down, and it's asleep at 10:30 and it's awake at 6:30, because when I looked at my genetics, there's certain things that needed to go on. So when we look at this example report, we look and we see this person is going to be a morning chronotype. So they're actually going to be a little bit better waking up earlier in the morning, going to bed a little bit earlier. Sleep onset, this is a big thing. And a lot of people are actually sleep deprived. So no matter how comfortable that pillow is, you shouldn't fall asleep as soon as you hit it. So it should take you somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes. If you're hitting a pillow and you're out, you're exhausted. You're not recovering. You're probably not breathing real well. You might have some apnea. You might have some things you need to look into. But generally, most people have a typical sleep onset should be about 15 minutes or so.
Which is pretty interesting. You generally when you think of, oh, he sleeps really well, he falls asleep as soon as he hits his pillow, you don't really think that, oh, that might not be the ideal situation.
It's interesting. A lot of people are really alerted by hitting the pillow and falling asleep, and that's not being ideal. This is where we talked about your genetic gifts. Your clock genes are the big ones here, and it's shorter propensity, which means 7 hours. If you need the longer one, you're probably going to be somewhere around 8 to 9 hours. 6 hours. So if you're sleeping 6 hours and you're chronically 2 hours of sleep deprived, it's almost like walking around having 2 beers all the time. So it's really, your cognitive function gets significantly declined. So when you do our neuro rehab, we ensure that our patients are very well rested, or just, it doesn't work. You can't program it into the brain, and they can't actually get the benefit out of it.
I say it every time I do something like that. It's not a no pain, no gain process. It's like, yeah, it's a great mentality to have with some things, but when it comes to something so delicate like your brain, like your health, like that, sometimes you need to load yourself up, have all the weapons that you can have, but use them appropriately, use them sparingly, and use them as much as you can handle, and that's it. You don't have a lot of sleep, you can't do a whole lot. It takes a lot longer.
Very true. So a couple of the other things we can look at with you is your propensity for your quality of sleep, if it should be restful or disrupted or not disrupted, your risk for narcolepsy, and restless leg. In fact, I've had conversations about people waking up at very specific times every day. That might indicate some other health issues that might need to be investigated. But one of the other things, I'm gonna don't get dizzy here. I'm gonna scroll up here, because one of those other things I always get asked about when it goes into sleep is, how does caffeine affect me? Well, it depends. It depends on 2 things. It's your anxiety risk from it, and it's also how fast you metabolize it. I have some clients and patients that will drink coffee all day long, and it doesn't necessarily bother them. Now, they do drink water to stay hydrated. But if you have a high anxiety risk and a slow metabolism, you probably instinctively stay away from coffee because you're not sleep well. But it's one of those things, once you have the idea how your body metabolizes it, how much of that can actually have. So, big takeaways with this are, you need to monitor your sleep. You need a good sleep hygiene plan. Get one that's customized for you and log it. If you don't track anything, there's a good tendency to drift, and being objective over a long period of time without something to reflect back on or somebody to hold you accountable, it's just not going to work as well as if you actually document it and have somebody to hold you accountable to it.
So when you say document, are you thinking about like having a pen and paper just beside your bed when you wake up every day?
That's one way. It's kind of more the old-fashioned way. Nowadays, there's all kinds of devices: Garmin's, BioStrap, Fitbit, Apple Watch. Get one that doesn't buzz in the middle of the night. I was just talking with another coach who couldn't stand to have these on because the watch buzzed all night. Well, you have to set the parameters to turn the thing off. But that's going to be the best way to monitor it. But you set up your sleep hygiene plan and you just stick with it. So I'll actually post that article and the link to the article at the bottom of the video here. If you have questions about it, or you're looking to learn how to sleep better, you're looking at how to improve your performance through your sleep, then go to Alpha Emerged, send a request, and set up a video consultation. We're looking forward to working with you.